Welcome to the Shekina Meditation Podcast, created by Shekina community members. Shekina communities are dedicated to creating free devotional spaces of Christian practice for spiritual seekers and travelers around the world. We post Christ-centered guided meditation each week to help you in your personal or small group practice. You can find episode show notes and other information at shekinacommunity.com. Hi, this is Ray. It's episode 68 of the podcast. It's Thursday, the 5th of March as I record this special podcast edition. Because we at Shekina Garden are on break and we're scattered around the world, these 6 podcast episodes are a little different with shorter intros, but the regular guided meditation as usual. We recently returned from Shambhala festival in northern Thailand, and so these meditations will come from sessions that we held there. We had the privilege of sitting and meditating with travelers from around the world. And we hope that you enjoy kind of coming along during these meditations. Listeners, this podcast is supported by you. Because this podcast is about meditation, we want to keep it ad-free. Our beloved patrons at patreon.com support us for as little as $1 a month, and patrons get extra audio as well as the knowledge that they are helping us to continue to offer these kinds of practices in the world. Things like Christ-centered meditation or communal eating or times of gardening or being together, listening to audiobooks together, all of these kinds of things that we do at the garden. You're helping us to offer them for free. You can find us at patreon.com/Shekina Meditation Podcast. You can also rate and review us on iTunes. You can email the podcast to a friend. You can tell the world about the podcast through your social media, through your blog, by knocking on doors, chasing down cars, any way you feel. And it really helps us know that you appreciate what we're doing and putting it into the world, taking the time to record these and to, master it and send them out into the world each week. We really love to do it, and we're so thankful to be able to partner with you in this way. Patrons, you are the best. You are as relieving as the first drops of rain on a hot day after the storm has been gathering. So it's just that it's gathering, and then the rain comes, and it's so beautiful. That's the way you are. Today's episode is a Lectio Divina meditation on Luke 18, verses 35 to 43. It's guided by Neil at Shambhala Festival in northern Thailand, and the meditation will have 3 parts. Neil will first guide you through some exercises to help you find a place of quiet and space in your mind for meditation. Then he will read through the verses a number of times with some guidance and a lot of silence and space in between. And then the third part of the meditation is about your own processing, figuring out how to bring this with you and what you want to take with you or what you want to remember. Just writing down what happened. So you can journal your thoughts if you're by yourself, or if you're meditating with others, you can pass a talking stick or other object and give each person an opportunity to share their experience. It's a beautiful thing to listen well to one another. It's an art and a skill to develop. So it's a good idea to just let people speak during the circle and help them to learn how to share by listening better and not correcting or interrupting each other. Let's begin.
Find a comfortable position, something that you can hold for a while. There's no strict rules in this style of meditation to sit still, like perfectly still. Close your eyes. If you feel like you need to shift at any point, that's fine. Try to be comfortable. Although I would encourage you not to lie down. I know if I do, I will fall asleep. And just bring attention to your breath. Just breathing comfortably and normally. begin to explore the sensations as you breathe. How do you feel your body changing as you breathe? And maybe take a deeper breath. Feel how it's different. What changes? Perhaps you notice the coolness of the air as it moves up your nostrils and down your windpipe. And then as you breathe out, perhaps it's a bit warmer. Spend a few moments on each sensation. And as you breathe, become more aware of other sensations in your body. Maybe the firmness of the ground as you sit, or the wind on your skin. Are there any aches or pains or stiffness? And if there are, then begin to move your body a bit. Maybe stretch those muscles. And maybe with each breath, let out a little bit of a sigh. Just to relax those parts of the body that are a bit uncomfortable or a bit sore. Our breath is something that is with us every moment of our lives. Yet, it is something that we take for granted. Most of our day, we ignore our breath, and we just breathe as we need to. But if we stop breathing, we very quickly become aware of it. And I like to think that as a metaphor for the divine, for God. It says in the scriptures that God is not very far from us. The divine is always close. Yet we can spend a whole day just busy in our own affairs and not be aware of this presence of God, as close as us as our breath is. So I invite you now to, in your own way, acknowledge that presence of the divine among us. Perhaps in how you hold your hands, or how you move your body, or perhaps in a prayer in your head or in your heart. And maybe as a way to acknowledge God, maybe a prayer of thankfulness for our breath, for each and every breath that we are given. It's not unusual for our minds to wander during a meditation like this. It's okay. If you do find that your mind wanders away and your thoughts turn to other things, or you're distracted somehow, then come back to your breath and use your breath to come back to the meditation. Meditation is a practice. It takes a while to get better at it. So be kind to yourself. But make the effort to utilize this time, to make the most of this time. Our scripture is from a moment in the life of Jesus. Jesus would spend a lot of time traveling from village to village. It wasn't common for him to stay in one spot for a long time. And as he traveled, he wouldn't travel alone. He would have a crowd of people traveling with him, sometimes large, sometimes small. And it's at this moment, at a time like this, that we enter the story. So as I read for the first time, just allow the words to wash over you, and using your imagination, build the scene as if watching it for the first time, say, like a play in a theatre. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside, begging. When he heard the crowd going by, he asked what was happening. They told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. The blind man called out, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Those who led the way rebuked him and told him to be quiet. But he shouted all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus stopped and ordered the man to be brought to him. When he came near, Jesus asked, What do you want me to do for you? Lord, I want to see, he replied. Then Jesus said to him, Receive your sight. Your faith has healed you. Immediately, he received his sight and followed Jesus, praising God. When all the people saw it, they also praised God. What did you see? How did the scene unfold in your mind? And spend a few moments replaying the scene as you remember it. For the second reading, I will read each phrase and then leave some silence. And during that silence, or as I read, I encourage you to begin to engage your mind and your heart and connect with the story. Who are the people that are mentioned? What do they look like? how does this story relate to your life and experience? I encourage you to explore and play. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside, begging. As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside, begging. When he heard the crowd going by, he asked what was happening. They told him Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. When he heard the crowd going by, he asked what was happening. They told him Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. He called out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." He called out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Those who led the way rebuked him and told him to be quiet. But he shouted all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Those who led the way rebuked him and told him to be quiet. But he shouted all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus stopped and ordered the man to be brought to him. When he came near, Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" Jesus stopped and ordered the man to be brought to him. When he came near, Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Lord, I want to see." He replied. Jesus said to him, "Receive your sight. Your faith has healed you." "Lord, I want to see," he replied. Jesus said to him, "Receive your sight. Your faith has healed you." Immediately, he received his sight and followed Jesus, praising God. When all the people saw it, they also praised God. Immediately, he received his sight and followed Jesus, praising God. When all the people saw it, they also praised God. Where have your thoughts led you? Think back on the second reading. Think back on your thoughts and feelings. And perhaps begin to look for some significant thoughts. Some things that maybe are more important than the other thoughts. Perhaps this is the Divine Spirit wishing to tell you something or teach you something. And so for the third reading, I encourage you to seek the Divine for guidance from this story. What does Jesus have to teach you? As Jesus approached Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside, begging. When he heard the crowd going by, he asked what was happening. They told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. He called out, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Those who led the way rebuked him and told him to be quiet. But he shouted all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. Jesus stopped and ordered the man be brought to him. When he came near, Jesus asked him, What do you want me to do for you? Lord, I want to see, he replied. Jesus said to him, Receive your sight. Your faith has healed you. Immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus, praising God. When all the people saw it, they also praised God. as you ponder and as you meditate, I encourage you to imagine the end of this scene and that you are a bystander within this scene. You can see the blind man who is now able to see, rejoicing. And the crowd is around him, rejoicing as well. But Jesus is to the side of the crowd, and for the moment, alone. And you have this opportunity now to meet with him, to speak with him. And in response to this passage, to this story, if you were to choose to meet and to speak with Jesus, what would you say? How would you respond? And if you do choose, what would Jesus reply to you? Or perhaps listen for a reply. as this part of the meditation comes to an end, I encourage you to come back to your breath, just breathing normally and comfortably. And maybe take a series of deeper breaths. And on your first breath, become aware of the sounds around you. And on the next breath, maybe wiggle your toes or your fingers. And then with each breath after that, in your own time, maybe stretch, become aware of the people around you. And when you're ready, as a sign of rejoining the circle, open your eyes.
Thank you for joining today. There will be a new guided meditation available each week, so don't forget to subscribe to iTunes or sign up for our newsletter to get podcasts delivered to your inbox at www.shekinacommunity.com/podcast newsletter. Also, you can rate or review on iTunes or sign up as a patron at patreon.com/Shekina Meditation Podcast. Have a beautiful week. Many blessings to you.